you for joining me. My name is Nephi Wolf, and I work for NCSI. And this is the first in a series of videos on how to install and configure extraction. This first video will go through, we'll just go through the installation process. In order to install extraction, you'll need several things. You'll need the main installer program. You'll need the connectors, and so those are pre-modeled database configurations. So they, in the back end, it tells where all the all the tables are and all the files and everything, where to find all the different fields. You may want some third-party connectors. Ivanti has some connectors besides just the Ivanti stuff. They also have connectors for a variety of different things. You'll also need the license. You'll need the login, and then you'll need the reports. And the reports are included with the connectors. They're packaged in together. So for the main installer, you go out to the forums, and so on the forums, you will have to log in. You'll need to log in, and with that, then you'll have the download section and the reporting, and so you can download the extraction files. And from that same location where you download the extraction files, that's also where you will download the Ivanti connectors. But the license and the third-party connectors, those are on the portal. So once you're logged into the forums, once you're logged in there, then you can go to portal.ivanti.com, and you can log in there, and you'll just use your community. It'll connect back to your community since you're already logged in from there. And as you log in, you'll have this section here for reporting, extraction, and so then you'll have all these different third-party connectors that you can download. So you can download those. And then you'll also, on the bottom, if we scroll down, is that going to show us? We'll have the activation credentials. And so those are the username and password that you'll use to activate the program. So you want to get that before you do the installation so you can activate that. So we'll download the files, and once those are downloaded, we can start the install. It's pretty simple and straightforward. One of the things that you'll want to do is you'll want to check to make sure that the files are not blocked. Otherwise, after the installation, files may not be allowed to run. You'll run into problems. So make sure that your files are unblocked, and then we can just extraction, and we'll also extract the connector we'll use that later on. All right. And then extraction, it's pretty straightforward. We'll just run the setup program and click through it. And the install part, yeah, there's nothing special. Biggest thing, I guess, just choose where to install it if you don't want to install it on the C drive. So I'm just going to use the default location, and then we'll just go ahead and install it. It takes maybe anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes to install it. Not too long, so we'll cut the video and then we'll come back at the end of the installation. All right. So the installation, the last step of the installation is it opens up the configuration program. And this can always be opened up later on. It's just on the start menu underneath extraction. The extraction settings here. So in this program, we'll just go through the tabs one at a time. And this is something that you'll set up when you first install it. And you can always go back and change the settings. But most of the settings in here are pretty static. Once you've set them once, you won't need to change them again for the lifetime of the installation. So this first tab, the licensing, so we put in the username and the password that we got from the website there, and let's see. I'll just use this one. No, okay. And then we can just check to make sure that it works. All right. So the license works there, so we're all set. The other option, I didn't mention it earlier, but you can do a manual license, and from that same licensing portal, portal.ivanti.com, you can download a license file, and it will be tied to, you'll need to put in the computer name that this is installed on, and it'll tie the license file to this computer, and you can do that as a manual activation. But usually people will just use the automatic. So that's the licensing, and then on the general tab, so we'll need to connect this to a SQL server. The database, it may get as large as 1 gigabyte in size, but usually most databases that I've seen over the years, they're like 100 megabytes is the largest. So we'll need an extraction database, and let's see, it will reconnect. So we'll go ahead and create a new database on the SQL server. We'll just call it extraction, and let's see, we'll just, where is the growth? Oh, there we go. Okay, grow by 64 megabytes, that should be plenty. And then when you're creating the database, the recovery model, full is fine, but it usually creates a bigger log file. And so if you change the recovery model to simple, you'll just have a smaller database. So we'll create that database, and then I already have a SQL user that's set up with access to that database. So now that we have the database there, we'll come back over here. We'll put in the information. Extraction is the name. And then we'll just test that. And that's there. So we'll go ahead and update the database. We'll just create the tables and things. Let's see, I wonder if that's from a previous installation. So I've installed this before, and so it's probably looking for my old license file. So I'm just going to switch over to this. You won't run into this problem unless you're installing it multiple times and doing it yeah, so you shouldn't have that problem. So we'll try doing that one more time. Update database. Okay. So as long as you don't activate in one method and then switch over to the other method, you should be fine. You can set the time zone, mountain time, and so we should be good there. The trusted sites, so this is an important, in 2022.3 and later, you'll need to add the trusted sites, otherwise you won't be able to access it. So you can just come in here, and my server is called Extraction, so I can just put in extraction/extraction. And in my environment, I don't have great DNS, so if I want to access it from another computer, then I can put in the IP address as well, 6. And then there's always a, what if I access it on this server itself? I could do localhost/extraction. So we'll add those different trusted sites so that it'll allow us to open that up. So you want to make sure you get that added in there. Authentication. The settings here, you don't need to change those, so you can just skip over that. The features tab. So this there's the timeout there that you can change. The you're automatically given 5 licenses if you just have the free version of Extraction, and and anybody can get access to Extraction. Extraction doesn't require you to authenticate, or doesn't require you to add new users to Extraction. Whenever anybody goes to the Extraction website, they're automatically logged in, and they receive the default roles and the default features. So they receive these permissions the first time they ever access the website. So everybody, the person who installs it will be able to elevate permissions. They'll be the administrator. But then everybody after that will receive these default permissions. And these are usually pretty good. You can report on these. You can use these for reporting and for viewing reports. There are times when people do want to create reports or schedule reports, do more advanced things. And so when they first log in, they would get just the dashboards and the documents. And then after they've logged in, you can then find that user account and elevate their permissions, and you can check these for the specific user. But that way, by setting just these 2 check boxes, everybody can see dashboards and documents, but they can't delete things or change things. But you can elevate the permissions as needed. So these default settings here, these are the settings that a user gets when they first log in, and you can always go back and elevate them. So that's this section here. And then so we can also, we have a lot of content that's pre-created. And so when we downloaded, when you download the connector, so we have this Ivanti connector here. We go into all those folders, and we'll extract this one. Okay. So in here, we have a whole bunch of, and these are like how-to guides, which we're just kind of going over right now, so you can skip most of that. So there's all of these zip files. These zip files have predefined reports. So let's just pick on EPM. Where's Endpoint Manager? So this may have reports for operating system information, or patching levels, or BIOS and other information. So there's a whole bunch of predefined reports in there that you can import. You don't have to. Extraction will work without them. But this will give you a starting point of having 30 to 50 different reports that you can look at and maybe change or use as a learning tool to so you can create new reports. So these are all the different reports in these zip files, and you do want to leave these zip files just as they are. You don't want to, we can take a look, there's all these documents. You don't want to unzip zip files. You just want to leave them like that. And here, down here at the bottom, somewhere in here, we have the connector, the data model file. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So this is that data model. This has all of the database mappings. It says that if you're in EPM, it says the BIOS table is connected to the computer this way, and the software table is connected to the computer that way. If you're using Service Manager, it says incidents are related to these tables, and the owner information is in this field. And so it has all of the behind-the-scenes mapping of all of the data. This Ivanti combined file here. So I start off here. So Extraction doesn't have any reports when you first start out. It's just an empty program. So these zip files here, when we go back to this configuration program, we can open these up, and there's my downloads folder, connectors. Okay, so we have all of these zip files, and so we can just choose one of these. And so I'm going to choose Endpoint Manager and open. And then you have 2 options here. You have overwrite and you have append. usually you want to use append. If you choose overwrite, it will delete all of your existing reports and just bring in these ones. So this will be all you have. So usually you want to add extra stuff. So you can choose append, and then you import it, and we're done. And then we can go back, and so now we have endpoint manager, and so then we can come in here and we can say service manager. It's going to be right in front of me. I just can't see it. There we go, service manager. So we can open that up, and we'll make sure we choose append. We import that. And then the service manager, additional content. Open that. We'll make sure we have append, and we'll import that. So we'll see what all this is in a few more minutes. But this, when you first install it, so you want to bring in all of the reports. And the reports are these zip files that come from the connector. So I have that. Oops. There, the settings. Okay. So I have that. And then email. So you can email out reports if you want to. So you can put in your email information, and then you could schedule, like on the first of the month, you could schedule, an incident report that shows how many incidents were created the previous month, how many were closed, how many were assigned to each team. So you could send out an incident report each month, or a patching report each week. So every Monday you could send out a patching report to your admins so they can get that information. So you can put in your email information there and set that up. Alerts. This one isn't commonly used, alerting. So I'm just going to skip over it for the sake of the install. When you get really good at extraction and you know how to do everything else, then you can get into alerts. The extraction dates. So just how do you want it to, when you're looking at the reports, how do you want the dates to be formatted? When you export files, when you're exporting things, how do you want the reports, or how do you want the dates to be there? So we just set up the dates there. And that's a new option for some of the new databases, which nobody's used yet, so I'm just going to skip over that. And then telemetry just sends basic usage information back to Ivanti so they know, how people are using it or if they have any problems. So there's those tabs there. We've finished configuring the settings, so I'll go ahead and say OK. And then we'll finish with the install. So with that done, then the next step, let's see. So then we want to go in and grab this file here, the Ivanti combined, and we're going to copy this file, and we're going to go to C, and wherever we installed it, so usually it's on the C drive, program files x86, extraction, data, configuration. And that's in that notepad file. I'll show that again later. And we're just going to paste the file right here. So the extraction program, it's a website that you'll access. This extraction website, it loads up this datamodel.dat file. It's not configurable. You can't change the settings. It's going to look, if it's on the D drive, then it'll look on the D drive, but it'll look at the extraction, data, configuration, and this datamodel.dat file. That will be the model of the databases. So right now, out of the box, the data model doesn't have anything in there. So if we may need to reboot, but we'll try extraction. Okay, so and we'll go into this in more in depth in a future video. But here we have the extraction. So if we wanted to create a report for Service Manager, it has no idea how to model Service Manager. There's nothing here. Or if we wanted to create a report for Endpoint Manager, there's nothing here. So we don't have any model of the data. So we copied from the extraction connector there, we copied the Ivanti combined file, and then we came over here to this to the configuration folder. And so we have this datamodel.dat, and the website program always looks at the file called datamodel.dat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the extension, original, if I can spell. So there's the original file, and then I'm just going to call this one datamodel. So now this one's 34 megabytes in size. So the file that it was using is here, but we've just renamed it. So now the datamodel.dat is there, and it's a lot larger. And so here on the website, we can go reload the data model, so it'll reread that file. And then just so you can see here, so now we have like Service Manager with incidents and service requests, and there should be more stuff in there. There probably is, but we probably need to restart IIS. But you'll have a whole bunch more options for everything that you could report on. So at the end of the installation, you'll want to make sure that you copy that datamodel.dat file there. And we will go into that in a lot more detail in a future video. So basically, you're just going to install the program. Then you'll go through the configuration, the settings tool, apply the license file, create a database, all of that great stuff. So just go through these tabs after the installation. You'll copy over the file, the data model file, so that you'll have the data model with everything that you need. And then the last step, let's see, we'll check out the services. And at the very bottom, there's these two services. And so these are used for sending out emails on a regular basis. So we can go in and we can just change these services to automatic. And then you're all set. So this installation of Xtraction is ready to go. There is a lot more to do with it, so you can go through and you can configure things and create lots of reports, and we'll go over how to use it in a future video. But that's the basic installation, and I hope you enjoyed the video.